Hey guys, FatBuddyCat here. I think I found something we can get into. Alright guys, and when I mean get into, I mean all up in that personal space. On our right side, we have our largest displacement motor, the Wildcat 223. We're going to be revisiting that motor, checking out some new parts from EC carburetors. Okay, and over here on our left, we have our Predator 79cc, guys. Alright, and the eviction notice has been signed, meaning I've received my tracking number and everything we're going to need to get Felicia out of here for good is on the way. Alright, and that's going to be from our friends at ombwarehouse.com. Hey guys, I'm FatBuddyCat, and when I need a boost in confidence because I have no idea what I'm about to get myself into, I go over to Rawr Motorsports. You should too. Check them out, guys. Alright guys, it's time to take microbiology to the next level. Alright, and to do that, we're going to have to get this motor off. We're going to have to get the jack shaft off. We're going to take the exhaust off. We're going to take the carburetor off, the gas tank, everything, guys, alright? I'll get all of that off, and we'll get right into this thing. Call me selfish, but this might be for future reference. First thing I'm going to do, start with the rear chain. Okay, now the jack shaft chain, and then the clutch. Ye old Giacomo plate. Now we can gank that pop stopper off of there. Alright, now over yonder, we're going to take the throttle cable off. Alright, now for the enchilada big burrito whole shebang. And we'll get these 4 bolts off, take it right out of there. Alright guys, now that we got it up on our JW chopping block, it's for Josh Warren, if you guys don't know. You can look him up too. But now that we got it up there, we're going to take the gas tank off. Good place to start. Oh, by the way, while we're here, this thing doesn't have a shut off, okay? The carb, nor the tank. So, you're going to have to figure that out. But we usually have an answer for that sitting around somewhere. Alright guys, this is slightly terrifying. One-shot deal. So, you know, let's do this. Let me get up under here with my screwdriver. Try. I'm gonna try. Oh man. Come on now. Oh boy. I told you these things are on there. Alright, it's off. Look what's in my other hand. Uh-oh. Oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, it's about to go awry. Oh boy. Yep, those will work. I just need a little clean piece. Alright. Wham bam bla-jam. And our clip on. Alright. Reverse carb hack. Nab that last bolt on the gas tank. Take note, the gas tank bolts are terrible. Alright, they vibrate loose. That's why we have one miscolored one. And the lobes that these are threaded into strip out extremely easy. which is why I have a longer one, which may get a nut. Next step, you can disconnect your throttle rod from this side. Or you can drop your gas tank and miraculously miss everything while you're removing your governor spring. I guess that works too. So now I might as well just take the carb off. Alright, and taking the carburetor off and removing the rod, we're going to go ahead and remove all of the linkages. Yep, this one too. Especially this one. Okay, I just kind of semi-reassembled this leftover piece of the linkage. Alright, the spring's on there. Just going to take the whole tabernacle and just throw it right inside an envelope. It's like the belly of the beast in there. Alright, now you tilt it back. Remove the drain plug. You give her the oil dumper guy. Alright, now that she's drained out of all her vital fluids and we get all this malarkey off of here, I'm going to go ahead and remove the fan shroud. Okay, upon removal of such said fan shroud, you might notice this random piece of metal stuck to your flywheel. I guess depending on what position you're in, it may or may not be quite there, but don't worry about that, guys. That's just the guard that goes over here, and it just gives up on its own when you pull those bolts out. Great design. Alright, we might as well continue this and just take our flywheel nut, our starter cup, and our fan off. Alright, then we go ahead and knock the flywheel off. Oh boy. Alright, now what we've all been waiting for. From Grey Goat Garage and our friends at OMBwarehouse.com, we have a random package of hardware. Womp womp womp. And an ARC 6671 Predator 79cc billet flywheel. Alright. Okay, so here's your comparison, guys. On the right, we have our stock flywheel. That random piece of metal almost stuck to it again. Just get those right out of the stitch. Alright. Not a lot to look at all, guys. This thing is super small, skinny, and I can see where this is an issue. Wow. This thing is a dried up old chicken bone. But it can be worked with. However, we're just going to replace it. Okay? Now this bad boy is just 28 degrees. We're not going to add a key or anything to this. We're just going to go straight up with it. Alright? And this thing's hefty. It's very solid. It's a little too solid. Look at this, guys. When you go to put these things on, right? Oh, it'll help if you line it up with the key. Alright? But well, we might have a problem. Okay, guys, it was easier to take the flywheel key out and show you the issue, okay? Now, typically when you put your flywheel on and you're lashing your taper, alright, the back of the flywheel wouldn't be hitting the actual governor rod or the dowel, okay, that's located inside of this piece of the casting. Alright, so we're definitely not going to be able to get our bolt in there. Alright, I like to do a bolt with a lock washer and some red Loctite to seal the deal. It's always worked for me in the past. Why wouldn't it work now? Well, this is why. This flywheel is solid on the back side, okay? The original is seriously lacking in the cyborg meat department. Alright, guys? The deli is fresh out. And they got a big hole back here. And when their flywheel is on, everything just kind of falls in behind. Alright? So, we're really going to have to dedicate ourselves to this now. There's going to be no turning back once we cut this off. But before we go doing that, I noticed a little bit of, you know, weirdness going on in the casting here. Alright, and I just took a screwdriver and scraped at it just to make sure we didn't have any cracks from our flywheel removal. Now, I was working down here, not up here, and there is the same kind of sort of thing going on up there, but it's always good to be sure before you proceed. Alright, so in normal fashion, I'll pull my clip up here. I'm going to punch this in a little bit, and this one I believe I'm going to be able to punch right out, drop it inside the case. Okay guys, we're also going to be taking a look at the valve springs when we do this, okay? So you can drop the cam, alright? That's alright, the way we're going to do this. Speaking of, look at this little guy. Isn't that cute? How's this thing ramped? It's not too awful bad. Well, I guess they have a cam for this thing. We're going to run this one for now. The gasket did tear. Alright, so I'm going to scrape that off and get rid of it. Okay, that was the worst gasket ever to try to clean off. I got it pretty much the same over there. It's not perfect, but it's flat. Feels good. I'm going to clean it off some more. Dang, man. It's everywhere. Oh well. I'm not going to fuss over that. Anyways, guys, I got the cam out, and you can see I'm hitting on my hockey stick as usual. So I'm going to have to get behind it, pull it, you know, away. I think. I don't know. This one might not even come out. Ooh. I'm going to have to get a better look at this. I think I'm going to have to cut it. And I think I'm so close, guys, if I let go of this. Yep. Alright, so you don't have to cut it. It just has to be positioned correctly. Okay? And it started, I still got the spark plug in so that this thing has some, you know, friction to it. But I started with it up in this area, started lowering it down between the lobes. And then when the lobes are at the bottom, I was able to drop it right in past and out. Okay? So next we'll just be spinning this around. And we'll be using a little dowel and a hammer and just banging this one in. Alright, then I get in there with a magnet, make sure we get all the washers out. In the way of governors, guys, this thing is like Schwarzenegger beefy. Odd. Alright, and just like normal, I use my 1/4 stainless steel bolt, lock washer, some red Loctite. I did the top. Now we got to do this dreaded side. All we're going to do, guys, cut this thing off so it's flush. Hit it with Kyle the file. Seal it up. Well, whoop, there it is. Cut that sucker right off there. Alright, now I'm just going to take my file. I'm just using a real fine one. Alright, and it's going to flatten that situation out. That way we have a nice flat surface for our bolt. Ooh, there's not a lot of sideboard meat there, guys. Okay, now that side is all sealed up. There was no way we'd be able to fit our bolt and our lock washer on with that extruding. Okay, it would have hit the flywheel for sure. Now we're gonna just miss it. Alright, well, we're gonna have to stop there because I'm completely out of carbon choke cleaner. Okay, this is a very important part. You can't skip this. Alright, well, here we are, day 2, guys. We made it to the hardware store and a whole lot more. Alright, guys, here's what we got. I got this thing outside and I hit it with the brake clean. Okay, I was careful not to really blast away at my journals. We didn't remove the piston yet, okay, or the rod or the crank in doing this governor removal. This is the most basic way you can do it. I don't have a cam yet for this motor. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it yet. With this gear in the back, okay, this is, you know, the one that spins your governor. It said that in freeing that up, you know what I mean, it's just weight that's there, you know, spinning, so you might as well get rid of it. Well, the added weight of this flywheel, guys, and its intended purpose is to help this motor spin. Alright, if I'm not mistaken, that's what a flywheel does. Okay, as this thing spins around, it's not only giving off, you know, a magnetic feed to the coil, but it's also creating momentum, alright, to keep this crank moving, and to help it move easier. Okay, so with that theory in mind, I'm going with this being just fine where it's at. Okay, I'm not sure if you can reuse the head gasket on these. I've seen guys do something like that. I've heard that there's 2 different types of head gaskets. We're not doing any head work, so there's really no reason to go pulling the piston out of the cylinder, touching the rings, or doing anything at all right there. Okay, now if we were doing the cam and we were gonna mill the head, take it apart again, you're already gonna be 3/4 there, so we might do that. You know, only downside, you have to remove the flywheel again if you want to get at the crank, but I'm still gonna call it, guys, and say that taking that gear off isn't worth pulling the head at this time. Let's go. Lube it up. Get those tappets in. New gasket. Seal it up. Okay, I'm lubing everything up, putting it back. Next thing I'm going to be doing is dropping in my cam. Also going to clean that off outside and put a little bit of oil on it before I put it in, especially in the journals. They might not be called journals. Alright, my cam is in, lined up, and I'm well lubed on both of my ends. Okay, I have a crankcase gasket from Gray Goat Garage, ombwarehouse.com. Get that on there, and then Get our side cover on and torque it down. Don't forget to lubricate your bearing. Alright guys, I set these at 96 inch-pounds, okay, which is, this one's hard to read, about 8 foot-pounds. Alright guys, next we're going to be putting on the flywheel. We got a little bit of grinding compound. Alright, this is just fine grade. I'm going to put this just lightly on my crank, okay, and then I'll put my flywheel on, and we'll just gently grind it on there. Okay, once you're done lapping it on, guys, make sure you thoroughly clean both the flywheel, the crank, the bearing, surrounding areas. Next we put the flywheel key, and then our nice new shiny ARC Racing flywheel. Okay, it is 54 foot-pounds on the flywheel nut for this flywheel, okay? You can see my cup's a little warped. They had to use the old screwdriver through the cup method, but I made sure to get it, alright? Also with this ARC flywheel from ombwarehouse.com, you get this set of spacers and bolts, okay? I'm going to show you what those are for. Alright guys, the obvious reason that we're going to be putting spacers behind the coil, alright, is to bring it right on a magnet. Out and away so that we can be in line with the magnet. Alright guys, and since this is an ARC flywheel and this does have those rare earth magnets, this is going to be a 2-card gap on that coil. Okay, we got our cards in there, and I'll just push down gently, but somewhat firmly, so I can still get the cards out. You feel me? Tighten them things down. I'll take those. Thank you very much. Before we go any further, I'm going to have to take a second to introduce you to somebody new at FatBuddyCat Mini Bikes. That's AGK. AffordableGokarts.com. Let's check it out, guys. See what we got. Alright, guys. If you didn't know, AGK Racing, Affordable Go-Karts, they have some very specific parts, alright, for the Predator 79cc, okay? They actually specialize in some things that some of the other companies don't. Let me show you what we got here. Alright, to go with our Governor Delete, we're going to be adding 22-pound springs. Alright, we have our valve cover gasket. It's a nice cork job, that's all. A nice high performance fuel filter. Brand new fuel line. Got a couple gaskets. And we have a brand new carburetor. Alright guys, now this isn't a stock carburetor. It might look like one, but it ain't. Alright, it's got a few things done to it. It's not just a jetted carb either. So go over there and check it out. I think you can find them on YouTube too. See what those guys are about. Okay guys, this is going to be a pretty basic spring swap. We're going to be pulling the spark plug. We'll feed a piece of rope in. We'll do our exhaust side first. These are just like the slip retainer where you push down, slide them down, then you pull your retainer off, seat the new spring on, put the retainer back on. Okay, I do not believe either one of these has lash caps. Oh well, we're running it. Okay, just for a comparison, the one on the left is the stock valve spring. The one on the right is the 22. Alright, that was not difficult whatsoever. You would think pushing a longer spring would be difficult in this situation. Nope. Now that those are in, everything's right. We're going to pull out our rope. Okay, and now I just cleaned, lubed, and inserted my rods. Okay, and we're probably just going to go ahead and release these. This will be the easiest way. Okay, I checked a bunch of sources and saw various things. Not even sure if people were using cams or not. And I saw 40,000s, 30,000s, blah, 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 blah. Well, guys, we're going 30,000s. Alright, and I went a little bit loose on my intake. And a little bit looser than that on my exhaust. Call that meeting in the middle. Alright, new valve cover gasket, valve cover tightened down. Moving on. Alright guys, we'll be putting the fan shroud and the recoil starter on next. Okay, and we're going to need those spacers and those longer bolts. Okay guys, as you can see, the spacers hold the cowling away from the crankcase, alright, so that everything clears. Now I just took a long rod that I happen to have sitting around. Alright, this is just a throttle rod. Now I'm just messing around trying to find where I'm going to need to be. Alright, and put my carb on. Oh no! We're hitting right here, okay? So, without getting some sort of an extension to get us away like that, there's only one other thing to do. Eek. Okay guys, and with the fan shroud moved, we can see that the point of contact is actually going to be right where the coil is. Okay, so that is an issue. The only way we can get around that is going to be spacing. Okay, but this isn't like throwing in some washers, guys. Alright, we're gonna have to extend that piece there. So close, guys. We're gonna get it tomorrow. Alright, have a good night. Thanks for watching. As always, it's a work in progress.